Maximum Chaos, Chapter 1. An old elevator, the kind that creaks its way up the shaft, slow enough it feels like each floor stretches 30 feet. The kind of antique object that seems more fragile than useful. Charlie knows the term for a machine like this: death trap. Grimacing towards James, he asks, "Scale of 1 to 10, how safe is this elevator?" James grins and answers, "I wouldn't invest in it, that's for sure. This bunker was created over 200 years ago. Doesn't seem to me there's anyone left doing maintenance." Feeling less at ease, Charlie takes his hands from his pockets and replies, "That's not funny. Just tell me this. When and if the Raleighs find us, will this place be able to take the bombardment?" James looks over and gives a sly smile, revealing all Charlie needs to know. They are not safe. They disembark from the rickety transport after an uncomfortable abrupt stop, and Charlie looks back. "Do you think we can fix the elevator up a bit? It's a coffin as it is, but I want people to at least feel safe on it, don't you?" "I wish it was that easy, my little lion man. But I, for one, am never worried at all. With someone as smart and brave as you on our side, I know for sure we'll escape this war. And then we can live in a place with solid walls and stairs." Laughing and content, Charlie runs down the dimly lit hallway back to his bunk, and James waves him off, a fake smile on his face. Once out of view, James peers up the cracks along the walls and ceilings, knowing that Charlie's fears are right. If they don't work on fortifying and sustaining this place, it could turn into their deathbeds. James takes the next corridor down, which is more damaged than the last, and ponders the possibility of leaving. Walking into the command center, he finds himself nearly stunned at how likely that option is, and breaks the silence in the room with 3 brief words: "We must run." Those who hear him look around, a little confused, but when he doesn't elaborate, they return to their work, trying to manage out-of-date, run-down computer alert systems. Cam, the military commander, gestures him to follow into the war room to discuss something James is sure has to do with his mild breakdown. He follows him through the first door, and then further into the offshoot office in back. Cam points for James to take a seat in one of the 2 chairs, the only things in the space, and both older than the men combined. Reluctantly, James sits down, though he isn't sure these particular seats are sound to use. But it beats standing at the moment. After all, he knows he's going to be yelled at, but he's telling the truth. They need to run. "We estimate we will be extinct by year's end, unless we can come up with a new plan. If not soon, it will be too late. We have undercover agents throughout the Raleigh fleet. The only issue is they keep getting caught and killed. We can't keep solid information, and without it, we won't even last till the end of the month. The attacks are getting more frequent, and we've been keeping how bad the situation is away from the general public. You suggested that we do that, and it worked for a while, so tell me, what do you think we should do next?" James isn't sure whether to take him seriously or not, but with all seriousness he replies, "I fear you're right, but knowing all this, why ask me? I'm a mid-level general. What can I do? You, my friend, are no longer mid-level. I hereby promote you to Director of War." The room falls silent. Cam looks to James for a response while James waits to hear the punchline. "Well, do you accept?" Cam begs. "I don't think I really get a choice, but yes, because we need to do something big." James gets up, and as he's going to leave, he looks back to say, "Just promise me this. Charlie will be kept safe. It'll be my top priority." With a nod, James quickly leaves the war room, but once a safe distance away, stops to take a breath. "If I'm in command, we're moving this base. It's falling apart, and we won't be able to keep many more attacks. We have to stage a breakthrough. Exhausted, he's delighted as he turns the corner and his room finally comes into view. But as he enters the doorway, a small smart of the wall next to him takes the shape of a sliding door, opens and reveals an intercom producing a static voice. Emergency call received. Report back to CC. As he re-enters the command center, Cam pulls him to the nearest comm station to show him the message. Massive fleet en route. Report for intercept. I have to go into the black. They're calling in a chip and it's a big one. James nods. I'll take good care of it while you're gone. James watches as Cam embarks onto an emergency vessel before sighing away the gravity of the current situation. This time walking faster, he makes it back to his bunk, only to find Charlie sitting there, spending time with Castiel. Time for you to go back to your bunk, Castiel, he says. I need to talk to Charlie. With a shrug, Castiel proceeds to leave and James picks Charlie up, carries him to the bed and sets him down. Oh, brother, looks like it's going to be an interesting week. I'm not going to lie. There have been some big changes. Charlie looks up into James' stern face, but doesn't blink an eye. For a moment, the brothers share a glance until, not able to keep a straight face, Charlie giggles. James, you've got to do what you've got to do. Whatever it is, you'll do it. You always have. Don't worry about me, I'm tough. Sliding into place, James lays down looking up at the ceiling before yawning. See, we've got these things called chips. When you need something, you could turn it in for one favor. You can have as many as you want, as long as you can get people to give them to you. Camo's a big favor, and he's got to deal with it now, so I'm in charge. Can I have one? James smiles and grabs his brother's hand. You're the most important person here. I'm sure anyone would be glad to give you one, but you have to work for it. Show your support and maybe you'll end up with 1 million of them. Happy and prepared to start tonight, Charlie goes to run out of the room when James grabs him. At least get some sleep first. James wakes up with a gasp, unable to breathe. Slowly recovering, he finds Charlie on his chest, staring at him excitedly. Seems I've got something on my chest. Better go wash it off, he states, getting up, whipping Charlie over his shoulder and carrying him to the bath. Get ready for your day, silly. We've got a busy one ahead. Leaving the dark and dank room, James heads toward the command center. Suddenly, a crashing bang echoes and the entire compound shakes. Dazed a bit but uninjured, James runs to the command center and finds a communication from the Chumbawamba playing warning on an incoming attack. Little late for a warning, he screams, agitated but alert. As the auto turrets activate and the base's shields start to rise, he looks over at the system to see that only 19% of the defenses are active. With the attack jolting the floors and ceiling alike, James couldn't help but let the thought creep in his mind that the building would crush them before their shields could protect them. Get the attack up on the monitors. Get me more firepower. Make sure to send the regulars to shelter near the escape route. Prepare the... He begins as a large shock makes the power flicker and the system restart. How terribly unreliable. New plan. Do we have any ion bombs? He yells while firing the remote turret from an open con station. Sir, we have one, replied Tom, one of the few men in the room James was familiar with. That's a bad idea. An ion bomb most likely won't destroy all the ships, and it will disable even more of our limited systems. You're thinking too big, Tom. Expand the shield and teleport the bomb atop it. When you blow it, it'll look like we scrapped the base in hopes for taking a few of them with us. Tom looks up and gives a concerned look, but follows the order anyway. They drop their defenses, root it to the shields and blow up the ion bomb. The force is incredible. It knocks out any power they have left. But after the shock ends, they are all still intact. Go dark. Make no noise at all. We need absolute quiet, James says. Fearing he's doomed them all by taking the defenses offline, he prepares for the worst by getting close to the door in case he needs to run to Charlie so they can spend their last moments together. The seconds passing by seem like decades, while waiting to see if they're going to survive. Just as he begins to give in to the urge to run, the power readout comes back on Tom's screen, and he's able to say, "They've suffered a 40% fleet loss, and the rest are leaving." With an ecstatic yelp, the whole room busts into successful chatter before James barks, "Keep it quiet! We need to look like we're gone. Tell everyone to grab their family, bring only what they need, and head to evac." Realizing he needs to do the same, he runs down the crumbled hallway in the direction of his room, to find it's blocked off by a piece of the collapsed roof. Sprinting up to the level the roof had fallen from, he jumps down to the hole to make it into his room. It's completely destroyed, with everything in it falling over. Screaming and yelling for Charlie, and not seeing or hearing him, he runs to Charlie's room, only to find a large metal panel lying on top of his bed.